As we do every meeting, members of the public who register or attend our open meetings have the opportunity to request a chance to speak for up to 3 minutes. And we have a limit of 10 speakers per meeting. We've not yet hit that limit. We are hoping that we hit that limit at some point. We fortunately have several members of the public here today, again, 3 of whom have registered to speak. Ann Noonan, Carolyn PRESUTTI, and Alan HEIL. Let's start with Ann. Ann, why don't you come up to the table, introduce yourself, and address the board, and thank you again for being here today.
Thank you. My name's Ann Noonan. I'm the Executive Director for the Committee for U.S. International Broadcasting. CUSIB would like to welcome the 3 new BBG governors, Ambassador Karen Kornbluh, Mr. Michael Kempner, and Dr. Leah Aron, and extend to them any assistance our organization might be able to provide. We wish the very best to Governor Michael Meehan as he departs the BBG. He will be missed. CUSIB remains concerned about the plight of the employees of the Office of Cuba Broadcasting who were illegally fired 5 years ago. The part of the arbitrator's mandate for the workers to be reinstated has still been ignored by the BBG. It is rumored that OCB intends to put these talented journalists and workers on administrative leave. They have only received part of the compensation that is due to them. In regard to the case of Mr. Luis Guardia, he has been completely left out. On the November 21st, AFGE Local 1812 filed the appropriate motion on his behalf, and we still wait. The BBG has torn apart the lives of these federal government employees, and we were assured in June that this would be resolved by August. It's December. Now, when so much will be changing in regard to U.S.-Cuba relations, with President Obama's restoration of diplomatic ties, how much more timely could it be than now to bring back these seasoned journalists? CUSIB remains concerned that the BBG has not yet settled its overseas discrimination lawsuits brought against Radio Free Europe, Radio Liberty, by its former employees in Prague, an Armenian citizen, Anna Karapetian, and a Croatian national, Cezana Pelivan. Will these cases ever get resolved, and what role can CUSIB play to help? CUSIB will be filing a FOIA request to the Voice of America, seeking all and any electronic video and audio copies and any emails that VOA Director David Enzor might have sent and or received about the very disturbing presentation he made to ridicule the efforts of former BBG Governor Ambassador Victor Ashe, former BBG employees, as well as a Jehovah's Witness publication. It is unconscionable for any federal employee to demonstrate religious intolerance in a punchline and expect his underlings to enjoy the jab. A holiday party is no excuse. There are tasteful ways of making fun, usually at oneself if you are a VOA director, and this was not one of those times. It is extraordinary for the director of a U.S. taxpayer-funded broadcaster to mock an independent U.S. media outlet and independent U.S. journalists. It's so ugly for anyone who stands for freedom to mock American public input and public opinion. Ted Lippian works very hard as an American to help improve an agency that, even according to the Wall Street Journal, has degraded. Ted is hardly an egotist. He is more than generous with his time and effort to help promote human rights and workers' rights. How many people at this table have privately emailed, phoned, and met with Ted Lippian for hours and hours of free advice? His knowledge on BBG matters is invaluable, and you all know it. I'd like to try to leave on a high note and say how much CUSIB appreciates the efforts of Radio Free Asia Cantonese Services for their exclusive interview about Chen Qitang. We will continue to advocate for more funding for surrogate broadcasting. CUSIB hopes 2015 will bring more order and progress to the BBG. We look forward to Andy Lack beginning his position here. Thank you.
Thank you, Ann. Sorry you missed the RFA potluck yesterday, which was one of the highlights of the year, especially Libby's mother's cooking, which is absolutely fantastic. Take it away.
Thank you. Good morning, board members and colleagues, and a special warm welcome to Andy Lack. We are very anxious for you to start here, Mr. Lack. And welcome to the new governors, Governor Kempner, Kornbluh, and Aron. My name is Carolyn PRESUTTI, and I'm a TV correspondent with Central News here in D.C., and I'm one of your 2 delegates to this year's Executive Leadership Program, the program that teaches high potential future managers the correct way, the successful way to lead within the government. I've been here nearly 4 years full-time and several years prior to that as a contractor. But regretfully, I didn't attend my first BBG meeting until last month. As a reporter, you know, I question everything. And I'd like to think that you want me that way. So I have several questions as to procedure, along with suggestions for you to consider. Last month, I was shocked to discover the board allows no time for open questions. We reporters think on our feet as topics come up. So during that meeting, I and others had questions that only pertained to what was being announced at the time. As a reporter, I find solutions too. And I'd like to think you want me that way too. So how about continuing the tradition of signing up, but then afterwards, opening the floor up for impromptu questions for the final 20 minutes? Yes, it might put some outside of their comfort zone, but sometimes that's what it takes for progress. And I'd like to think that we all can think on our feet, as I know all the board members can. Secondly, a resolution about the future of VOA was mentioned at the last meeting. Then a revised resolution was mentioned. The committee of board members was chosen, but at no point did we, the audience, hear a reading of the resolution. In this age of transparency, which I know the board embraces, that needs to be done. So I would like to respectfully request that you read the resolution at this meeting, review the goals of the committee that was created by the resolution, and what has been accomplished thus far. Also, it would be helpful if this is also printed somewhere so my other colleagues can read it. Thirdly, a large vocal group of us in Central News hopes that if HB 4490 is reincarnated next year, it includes no changes to our journalistic charter of unbiased reporting. That is the bedrock of our credibility. It is what keeps our colleagues safe in other often unfriendly countries. It is why many of us are here. We pride ourselves on our two-sourcing rule and the ability to air in countries that control their media. Our charter is why most of us work here today, because frankly, that's what's missing in the industry outside these walls. If that is taken away, I'm afraid you wouldn't have many true journalists who would stay here. VOA is a brand. VOA is known world over for credibility, trust, and unbiased reporting. No one should be allowed to take that away. Thank you for giving me the time to speak today, and I look forward to the rest of the meeting.
Thanks, Carolyn. It's really nice to have you here today, and we want all those things as well. I will say our policy as a board is not to respond impromptu to speakers who come up here. We generally try to respond to every speaker kind of behind the scenes. I do believe, though, that the VOA resolution is public on the website. And Carolyn, if it's not, we'll make sure that it is, because everything we talk about here should be public. This is an open board. And also your other suggestions we'll consider. I think they're good ones. And last but not least, Alan, take it away.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and welcome to the new members of the board and to Andy Lack for joining this organization at a time of great change, great opportunity. Warmest of holiday greetings to all of you and to my colleagues at the other networks besides the Voice of America that are part of this organization. It is time for a fresh look. It is time for celebration, as befits the season. With an entirely new board and the appointment of a highly qualified CEO to focus on day-to-day operations, 2015 shapes up as a year of unprecedented opportunity. The board at last can move beyond minutia and focus on the big picture, as I think, Jeff, you said at your first meeting that you chaired Now, what is it, 15 months ago? To that end, I have drafted a new mission statement, or charter, if you will, that what you might consider would be applicable to all of U.S. international broadcasting. It's reasonably succinct. I'd like to share it with you this morning, I hope within the next 2.5 minutes. A mission for American global media in the 21st century. America's publicly funded civilian international broadcast networks will sustain and strengthen U.S. national security by serving as an accurate, credible, and comprehensive source of news and analysis about events in the United States and other countries in a dangerous and often unpredictable world. The networks will explore and expand ways to reach demographically diverse mass audiences through combinations of content and multimedia delivery systems tailored regionally. They will reflect America, its policies, debate on these policies, and American culture and history. U.S. global media's greatest gift to users in English and other languages will be to engage them real time in a planet where less than 1/3 of the countries have totally free media. The networks will present a balanced cross-section of American thought and opinion and that of societies that they reach. They will be forever agile, adjusting delivery systems to rapidly changing national U.S. strategic needs and, of course, the humanitarian needs of the users. They will be guided by the VOA Charter, Public Laws 94-350 and 103-415, and the codes that presently govern the grantee networks. They'll be guided by a commitment to promote freedom of expression through their own reportage and assistance to other free media. Article 19 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. They will be guided by a congressional mandate to communicate information and ideas among peoples, thereby contributing to the common welfare of all. Public Laws 103-236 and 105-277. Be guided by a pledge to engage, enlighten, and empower audiences that are reached, strengthening particularly those who seek healthier, more prosperous, and more peaceful lives, consistent with justice and their God-given human rights. In the 21st century, media are increasingly interactive, using solid research, challenged by a global thirst for news and analysis of exceptional quality. U.S. international networks will share information, not shout it. They will combine old and new media to produce now media in a highly competitive information age. They will marshal credible, smart power. It's what I call a force multiplier of national security. Their ultimate goal, as John Chancellor once said, will be to bring the bright dream of a new day into the dark corners of the world. End of text. Thank you and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you too, Alan. That was great and wonderful. Thank you for being here.